Hello, I'm Greg Brock. I'm a member of the Lexington Storytellers. I'd like to recite a poem titled The Cremation of Sam McGee. It belongs in that genre of poetry so-called cowboy poetry. It was written by Robert W. Service and published in 1907. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights. But the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge, I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows, and why he left his southern home to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold. But the land of gold had a hold on him like a spell. Though he'd often say in his homely way, he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. And talk of your cold, through the parka's fold it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close, the lashes froze, and sometimes we couldn't even see. 'Twasn't no fun. But the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay wrapped tight in our robes beneath the snow, the dogs were fed, the stars overhead danced heel and toe, he turned to me. "Cap," said he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low I couldn't say no, and then he said with a sort of moan, "It's a cursed cold that's got right hold. I'm chilled clean through to the bone. 'Tain't being dead's my awful dread, it's the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, and I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn. God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raged all day about his home in Tennessee. But by nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There was no breath in that land of death. And I hurried, horror-driven by a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true. And it's up to you to cremate these last remains." Well, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. And in the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night, in the lone firelight, and the huskies all in a ring, howling out their woes to the homeless snows. God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow. But on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was running low. The trail was bad, but I felt half mad. But I swore I would not give in. I'd even sing to that hateful thing, and it would hearken with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and there a derelict lay. It was jammed in the ice, and I could see in a trice it was called the Alice May. Well, I looked at it, and I thought a bit. And I looked at my frozen chum. "Well, here," said I, with a sudden cry, "is my crematorium." So I tore some planks from the cabin floor and I lit the boiler fire. I found some coal lying around and I piled the fuel higher. With the flames soared and the furnace roared to a blaze you seldom see. I burrowed a hole in that glowing coal and I stuffed in Sam McGee. And then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. The heavens scowl, huskies howl, the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And a greasy cloud and an inky shroud went streaming down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear. But the stars came out, danced about, ere again I ventured near. I was filled with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked. It's time I looked, and that door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, sitting cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. He wore a smile you could see for a mile, and he said, please close that door. I'm fine in here, and I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, this is the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights. But the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge, I cremated Sam McGee.